So Halloween is coming up, and it being my favorite holiday, I want to do something more on theme to the day. So how about we analyze another video game level? Now, I know that isn't really on theme to Halloween, but the game we're talking about certainly is. Pumpkin Jack follows a dead man named Jack whose soul has been trapped inside a pumpkin on his journey to defeat a wizard in order to basically cause Armageddon. The game's a really short 3D platformer consisting of only 6 total levels, making it a really easy game to visit during this time of year and get done as Halloween comes to a close. And personally for me, the highest point of this extremely fun game is the 3rd level of the game, the Cursed Swamp. So for the context of this level, Jack had almost gotten his hands on an amulet that the wizard needs to stop Armageddon from happening. And just as he was about to grab it, he's stopped by one of the wizard's friends, and upon beating him, Jack finds out that the wizard had come by and snatched the amulet right from under Jack's non-existent nose. Furious about this, Jack makes haste for the wizard's location, and this leads him to a big, deep swamp. And it is here where our level in question begins. The level begins with us arriving at the edge of the swamp, and immediately the first thing to catch your attention is the music track that accompanies this level. The calm yet haunting piece of music that plays throughout this level perfectly sets the mood for this Halloween aesthetic filled level, and in my opinion does that better than any other level in the game. Also, this is the first level where it's possible to get some of the Talking Swords fun banter about how bad Jack is at using his weapons, which is always fun. As Jack enters the swamp, both of his bird companions make it very clear that they don't like this place, with Crow feeling just overall uneasy and Owl saying that owls and swamps don't go that well together. But Jack has a job to do, so you push forward through the swamp's entrance, jumping through the shipwrecks and large rocks that immediately kicks the player's brain into thinking about what on earth could have happened here. Why would so many ships have been interested in this place to get literal piles of shipwrecks to the area? And the platforms in this area being old wrecks of buildings just makes the player wonder more about this area's past and what could have happened here. Or maybe it just crippled and broke down over time. Who knows really? And the odd imagery just keeps going as the next thing Jack finds is a bunch of windmills in the middle of nowhere. All this odd imagery like the shipwrecks and windmills don't really have a purpose for this level outside of building atmosphere, but let's be real, they do their job extremely well. As we make our way past some odd wood that phases in and out of reality, we finally enter the swamp and encounter a merchant. But it's not the same merchant that we've encountered before. Instead, it's a brand new face that we haven't seen before, and he explains himself to be a huge fan of Jack, even explaining how Jack fooled the devil a total of 3 times, which even impresses Jack as usually people only remember the first 2 times. The merchant then tells Jack that his wife is also a huge fan of him, and happens to be a witch, which catches Jack's attention as she could be of use in terms of finding the wizard. So Jack asks to meet the merchant's wife, and as an answer he's given a job from the merchant to grab a magic mushroom from the forest. Begrudgingly, Jack makes his way through some of the funkiest platforms I've seen in any video game ever. I mean, Jack whacks a mushroom to summon bigger mushrooms to jump across. Even though this platforming segment takes a while, it doesn't stop being fun thanks to the ridiculousness of the idea that you're just bouncing between mushrooms. After that, Jack finally arrives at the magic shroom and we get one of the most fun minigames in all of Pumpkin Jack. What you're supposed to do is hit the mushrooms in the order the game gives you, and once you get the order right, the shrooms play a little piece of classical music and you're given the magic mushroom. Was the music minigame necessary? No. Is it just funny that it's there? Absolutely. So it gets a pass for me. As we return to the merchant with his magic mushroom, Jack is given the rights to use the merchant's horse to get to where the merchant's wife is. So we hop on and get another funky minigame with some of the catchiest music in the whole game. Even though the minigame isn't that special on its own, it's basically just an autorunner like Subway Surfers. Once we hop off the horse's back, we see another section of the swamp that's similar to the beginning of the level, but the witch is probably just a little ways ahead of this place. So we continue onward, killing pretty much everything that decides to get in our way like the good hellspawn we are, and making our way across some more mushrooms. This is also where the drowning music track from the beginning makes a return, and just like before, it gets the player feeling uneasy. Then to Jack's surprise, we run into the merchant again, telling us that his wife is one more pony ride away. But to get ourselves on said pony again, we need to get him another magic mushroom. So we go jumping across the funky mushrooms again, and even take a small dance break along the way. Some more mushroom jumping later, and after making our way through a tree fort that looks like it was made by the Ewoks, we finally arrive at the second magic mushroom. So it's time to again play musical mushrooms. Again, was it necessary for Beethoven to have a concert in the middle of this level? No, but it's still fun. Once we deliver the second shroom to our merchant friend, we are told that this time the merchant's wife will actually be at the end of the horse minigame. So we hop on and ride like the wind. And even though it's again just an auto runner, it's still fun, and the music is always, even on repeat playthroughs, a treat for the ears. One more trek through some ghost wood, and a boat ride with Charon's ghostly cousin, who we don't tip because, just like the ferryman himself said, Jack is evil, and he's also clearly a jerk. This boat ride was actually on my first playthrough, one of the most blood-pumping sections of the level. The boat sinking and needing to jump over to another boat, the boat tipping over and needing to avoid falling into the water, fighting off ghosts during the ride, and even needing to walk on land for a little bit to catch the boat as it went through a mountain, made this boat ride into a very memorable segment during this level. That is, until this segment was ham-fisted into every other level after this, and it just ended up becoming tedious for the remainder of the game. But as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't affect this level, so let's move on. After the boat ride, Jack has one more obstacle in his way before he can meet the witch, and that is a forest with many branching paths. If you take a look, most of the paths have birds on them, and the game first hints at you needing to follow the birds. But if you do that, you'll get a tree dropped on you. So you make your way through the forest by always choosing the path that the birds are not on. And then Jack finally comes face to face with the witch. Right away, the witch starts talking about how she's a huge fan of Jack. And once she's done, she tells Jack that she knows the wizard's name. And upon being asked for the name, she says his name to be Yoink. All of a sudden, the merchant swoops in, snatching Jack's head right off his shoulders. And as Jack questions this, the witch explains that Jack should have seen that coming, as that is one of his old tricks. Jack, being a little entertained by this, asks for his head to be returned to his body, only to find out that his head is going to get cooked into what is most likely a spell these two are making with the magic mushrooms that you yourself collected for them a couple minutes ago. This is where one of our bird friends finally gets a chance to shine, as the crow, who's been a very cowardly character throughout the game up to this point, takes control of Jack's body to give chase to the couple and get his friend's head back. This is where we get our final pony ride of the level, and now there's some classical music during the pony ride as well. One more time. Is this necessary? Not at all. But is it fun? Yes. Once we get to their living area, we learn that they aren't making a spell with Jack's head and the mushrooms, but instead it's their dinner, because they're vegans. I guess eating human souls technically doesn't count as eating animal products. Anyway, obviously we don't want Jack to be eaten, so we have to get him back, which means that it's boss fight time. And it's honestly one of the best bosses in the game. The witch will throw potions from the top of the tree she is standing on, and you as the player need to throw the potions back at the many eyes that are on the tree. And from the second phase onward, the merchant will jump in to try and hit you with his whip. Once the tree is destroyed, the merchant and the witch start to run around and are basically just targets for you to hit and kill. Once they're both dead, we get a pretty funny one-liner from Crow and grab Jack's head back. And as payment for making our way through this swamp and saving Jack's life, we are given a new weapon to add to our arsenal. A literal gun. And on that note, the level ends. This has been my favorite level in Pumpkin Jack since my first time playing the game, and even though there are 2 bosses later in the game that I think are better than the big tree, it's still a very solid boss fight overall. But even aside from that, this level has some of the most fun banter between characters thanks to the absurdity of the merchant and the witch's dialogue. It may not have the best minigame, but both of this level's minigames are some of the best the game has to offer and provide a lot of personality to the level. It has nice comedic beats like with the whole yoink trick, some fantastic atmosphere that's always appreciated from any piece of media going for a horror or Halloween theming. Some very nice music, giving a side character a chance to shine, and just overall being a level that's a fun time all the way through, is exactly why this isn't, in my opinion, just the best level that Pumpkin Jack has to offer, but also one of not only the best levels of any 3D platformer, but one of the best video game levels I've played all year. Now, I've got some tricks to prepare for Halloween, so unfortunately our time together has come to an end for now. But I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other again very soon. Happy Halloween.